Now, one of the recent use cases that we've implemented is showing how in production system you're able to utilize newsfeed, whether it's Bloomberg or Reuters or New York Times or BBC, and based on analyzing the content, running sentiment analysis on the content and correlating the context of the articles with the past performance of each stock, we are able to predict the trend and the price of each of the different stocks. So in this specific use case, we're able to connect to hundreds of different data sources. As I mentioned, it could be any type of data source, feeding to the system in real time newsfeed, which are unstructured data in essence, and running the sentiment analysis on top of it, and then feeding the feature vector to the model, getting the score, and based on the score, we're able to provide a recommendation which stock we should buy and which stock we should sell. Now, the logical flow is as soon as you get the news feed and of course the order book, the actual trade, we're able to, from each article, to extract the text, the timestamp, the actual ticker, like whether it's Google, Microsoft, or any other symbol, and of course some keywords to understand the context. In addition, we're getting a real-time stream of the actual trades of the stock exchange, and then we extract the different attributes. It could be word, it could be sector and categories like different industries like technology, oil and gas, healthcare, and different types of sectors. And then the target value of the model is whether based on the fact whether the articles shows a downtrend, an uptrend, or a neutral trend, we're able to give a recommendation for pricing and actual whether to hold the stock or to buy and sell it. So again, it's an end-to-end flow that provides you real-time, in this case, recommendation to improve the margins and the decision on the trading floor. And before we move to the demo, here you can see it's just a snapshot of the actual code. So it's basically a very standard Spark API. So as we mentioned earlier, you don't need to learn anything. You can use out-of-the-box Spark examples. And we have integrated performance optimization to allow you to save the model into the grid, and then you can the data set itself is also stored in the memory grid, and we're able to feed the feature vector and get the score in real-time sub-second latency and act upon it and trigger an actual event or workflow based on it. So let's see how it goes. So first of all, this is the actual Spark master UI. You can see here we have two different Spark jobs that are running. One is structured streaming from Kafka. We're getting a real-time feed from Kafka of the sources of the news, and we're able to run the sentiment analysis on top of it. The second one is the actual feeding of the data to the model to act in real time. Now here you can also see the actual Kafka cluster with 50 different partitions where the data itself is partitioned by this ticker, but the stock ID to allow parallel analytics of different types of stocks. And here you can see the Zeppelin notebook, both the code that create the actual model. In this case, we're creating a linear regression model that actually classify each article, and then in the end we save it to the actual in-memory grid to make sure it's available for fast inferencing within the production workflow, and then you can evaluate and push it to production. Other than that, as we mentioned earlier, we have integration with different BI tools. In this use case, we use our connector to Tableau for a live connection to get the actual real life view of the data, and also to enable us to dive into the different trends. So we can see here different types of stock ticker and what type of articles, whether it's neutral, optimistic, and pessimistic, which translate to which trend it has. On the left side here, you can see how the split between positive, negative, and neutral articles. And of course, at the bottom side, you can see the split between the different articles, where you see that Reuters is the top lead in terms of articles. Second one is USA Today. And also this here, you can see the correlation between the different articles, the essence of the articles, whether it's neutral in this case or whether it's positive in this case, and correlate between the time and the actual ticker.